Hello again, everybody. This is Travis Big League Berardi. That is Hayden Yak Gray, the man of the yards after catch. And this is the Week 5 edition of the area stat leaders, passing, receiving, rushing, brought to you by Spitzer of Mansfield. If you need a car, go to Spitzer. They got good ones for you. Anyway, Hayden, everybody say it with me. I can't believe we're already through Week 5 and into Week 6.
Yeah.
Once again, weekly, it's just crazy how things fly by, and footballs have been flying through the air as we get right into our passing leaders here. Just once again, great passing throughout the area. Blake Foose of Seneca East starts off 10 touchdowns passing, 856 yards. 850 yards at least gets you into the top 10 after 5 weeks. At number 9, that Matt Sprang of Loudonville, 914 yards passing on 64 of 127 touchdowns. Number 8, Malachi Bayless of Bucyrus, 933 yards, so just ahead of Sprang, 7 touchdowns. Harry Schultz of Tiffin Calvert, not almost to 1,000 yards. He's at 979 on 7 touchdowns. Brandon Mitchell with that caught, still just hanging around the top 5, just outside at number 6. 15 total touchdowns, 1,050 yards on 101 of 144. And then at number 5, Caden Holman of Upper Sandusky, 7 touchdowns on 1,133 yards, 82 pass completions for an Upper Sandusky squad. It's pretty darn good in a stacked Northern 10. Now to the top 5. At number 4, Shelby's Brayden DeVito, the freshman sensation, Hayden. And let's take a closer look at him as the Whippets just continue to go on. We had an interview with him, and here it is.
First of all, our O-line did great. Gave me plenty of time, and we ran the ball, got the ball in the air a couple times, good pass plays, good overall offense, but I think there's a few things we can fix up going into next week against Gallen. I'm feeling good. They're a great team. We know they're going to be ready, and I think if we prepare ourselves, we'll be ready to go.
So, Brayden DeVito already talking like a senior on some of our interviews after the game, but 1,206 yards. They have Shelby in playoff position right now, Hayden.
Yeah, they're doing a nice job keeping themselves in position for both the MOAC and kind of, building on those computer points as rankings continue to get updated every week for those playoffs as well. But I think he nailed it on the head, Travis. His maturity is clear through these interviews and stuff. Just he's been developing over the last few weeks, and I think that's really going to help them come postseason time.
Yeah, and pretty efficient too. 68 of 111 passing, 1,206 yards, 11 touchdowns. Now to number 3, Mason Wolf of West Holmes, 13 touchdowns, 1,222 yards, 64 of 89. So even more efficient for a West Holmes squad. If it wasn't for Cleveland Glenville, they'd probably be top of the state, not only the region in D3, but top of the state, Hayden.
Yeah, the efficiency is what they have been about. As you said, Travis, we had a chance to take a look closer at some of that receiver room last week on the stat leaders, and those guys all have a good relationship, and it's clear that Mason Wolf has been one of those leaders bringing them success this season.
Now to the top 2. At number 2, Caden Shadone, the human highlight reel. 16 touchdowns already, racking up those fantasy points too. 1,528 yards passing, 108 of 180 passing as well. And does he break into the rushing ranks? Well, we'll see that just down the road here in a little bit. We still have our number 1 passer, and, you all know who that is. Isaac Robinson, almost to the 2,000-yard mark through 5 weeks, just below it, though. 1,789, 99 of 152, 22 touchdowns. You talk about fantasy points, this kid has been ripping it up.
Yeah, and just the numbers continue to rise and rise and rise each week. He continues to keep a pace that's going to definitely get him over 2,000 yards, and excited to see what he can do in the second half of the season.
So there you have it, the top 10 passers. Got to get at least 850 through the halfway point of the season just to make the top 10. So, I always say, this is a rushing league, but there are 10 quarterbacks that can still sling the ball around here in North Central Ohio. But who do they throw it to? Well, let's take a look at the receiving leaders now. First at number 10, Johnny Askew of Mount Vernon breaking into the top 10 this time. 5 touchdown catches, 25 catches for 368 yards. At number 9, one of Robinson's favorite receivers, Carson Sinninger, still sitting down there towards the bottom, but he is in the top 10. 5 touchdowns on 21 catches, 382 yards. Chris Buchanan from Western Reserve, only 2 touchdown catches, but he has 404 yards on 23 receptions. At number 7, Jonathan Metzger from Ashland, the Arrows, still sticking around, had a big win. They play Madison this upcoming weekend, a big one. 5 touchdown catches, 27 receptions, 439. And then Billy Klaus of Calvert, an interesting team to me. They beat Mohawk in week 1, and they're sticking around as well. Had a couple losses, but they're bouncing back. And let's take a closer look at Billy Klaus. Hayden, he can make some catches. He can run the ball too.
Yeah, you're going to see in this particular moment, the replay that we're going to show you can really get up and adjust to the ball in its position really well and can make some big-time plays. You'll also see that he can take it in on the ground a little bit, too, as a rusher. But just a great year that Klaus is having. 580 yards on 46 catches and 12 touchdowns. So someone that's doing, 4 touchdowns. So someone that's doing a really good job for the Senecas and has been a key asset to them this season.
Absolutely. And now to number 5, Brandon Mitchell's sitting around the top 5. Isaac Blair, he continues to sit around the top 5 as well. 580 yards, over 100 yards a game for South Central. 46 catches, too. That's crazy. 12 touchdowns to pretty much lead the Firelands Conference in those categories. He sits at number 5. At number 4, Kyle Maltrich from West Holmes. Like I said, they are a very good squad, and they were good last year, a state Final 14, but they could probably go even further. And Maltrich, Sam Williams-Dixon, just the whole team has the chance to do it. 25 catches, 595, 10 touchdowns. To number 3, and that is Isaiah Ramsey, the Shelby Whippet. Devito has to throw it to somebody after graduating a couple big receivers, and I keep saying Isaiah Ramsey is the one, Hayden.
Yeah, he's stuck around at the top half of this list for the last couple of weeks and continues to inch closer to that top spot. I think by the end of the year that he'll have a chance to compete for it because he definitely seems to be DeVito's top target this year.
32 catches, 670, and 5 touchdowns. Now to number 2, Cam Robinson. There's the other one of the dynamic duo from Willard. 685 yards on 33 catches and 8 touchdowns. And I think we might be able to get some highlights of them too this week as Willard looking to continue their great season. But now to the number 1 receiver here in the area, Kean Shadone. You got to have the human highlight in the quarterback. You usually have to have a human highlight at receiver, and Kean Shadone is that. 716 yards receiving in 5 weeks, 44 catches as well. You think Isaac Blair's doing something down in the Fireland Conference. Shadone is doing something in the MOAC, 4 touchdowns, but he is racking in the catches and the yards. So there you have it, the top receivers here in the area, Hayden, and these numbers are crazy this year. I mean, it's just phenomenal at what these guys are doing. But you know what else is phenomenal? Guys that can run the football, Hayden. And at number 10 from the Crestview Cougars, Addison Raymer, 600 yards exactly. And let's take a closer look at him, Hayden, as he's helping lead the Cougars to an undefeated season so far.
Yeah, just when you thought that there was going to be a little bit of a hard transition after losing Connor Morris to graduation last year, Raymer stepped in and has absolutely got the job done. I believe scoring over 50% of the Cougars' points this season himself. So certainly a different style running back, but the speed and the lightness that this guy has been refreshing for them, and they're going to need that this week as they take on the Lucas Cubs on Friday in a big matchup.
You can watch it live and free right here on the OH Report. That should be a big one. There's a couple big games going on this week on the OH Report, so stay tuned on Friday night. At number 9, a guy that has the same amount of carries but 10 more rushing yards than Raymer. That is Gabe Ivey of Galleon. He also has 9 touchdowns. And then it's the dynamic duo from Mount Gilead. 189 rushes combined through 5 weeks. They are workhorses down there in Morrow County. Matt Bland at 8, 7 touchdowns on 663 yards. Garrett George, number 7, 8 touchdowns on 701 yards. And if I get the math correct, 1,364 yards. I had to use my fingers, though. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you did good.
But Mount Gilly, they're sticking around, too. They have a winning record right now. They want to get back into the playoffs. Another team from the KMAC that wants to get back into the playoffs, Tyler Johnson's Centerburg Trojans, one of those quarterbacks that's in the top 10 right now, 116 carries as well. Goodness, 702 yards, 7 touchdowns. And then St. Paul's Ben Berger eating up the yards, 62 carries, 710 yards, and 10 touchdowns. The St. Paul, that's going to be the toughest team Crestvew's going to see in the Firelands, and that Week 9 matchup will probably determine who wins the conference championship. And those two players, Berger and Raymer, will have something to say about that. At number 4, Chase Sparks of Plymouth. He had a huge night once again this past week. 830 yards rushing, 83 carries, and 13 touchdowns. To number 3, Quincy Krabs, the other St. Paul Flyer in this lineup, 3-5. Two of the top 5 rushers in the area come from St. Paul, and I think you just expect that. St. Paul just loves running the ball. Krabs, Mr. Krabs, 108 carries, 843 yards, 8 touchdowns. Continue that crab walk up the standings, too.
Sure.
He's up to number 3 this week. At number 2, Hayden, Teagan Rule, Fredericktown. I will see them live and free this week as they take on Northmore, but Teagan Rule, he's shown it last year, too, when he had to be quarterback for a little while because of injuries. He can run the ball.
Yeah, he's had an impressive year. I think I could tell from seeing them in the preseason, going down to one of their practices, they felt so much more comfortable going into this year, getting guys back in that one spot that they were most comfortable. So I think you're seeing the benefits and reward of having Teagan back there, just focusing on rushing the ball.
And our number 1 rusher in the area, are you surprised at this name?
No.
Dane Nahman. Getting close to that 1,000-yard mark halfway through the season. Nearly got it, but he still needs 65 more yards. He'll probably get it this week. 127 carries, 935 yards, and 11 touchdowns. Hayden, Dane Nahman into the MOAC right now, but he continues to dominate. It don't matter what conference he's in.
No, it's been a little bit tougher for their overall team and their team record, but his success as an athlete has translated over, and he's been a nightmare for Moab defenses this season. So still just a young guy, so keeping up the good work and going for that crown this season.
All right, there you have it. This week's through Week 5 passing, rushing, receiving leaders. The stat leaders brought to you by Spitzer of Kia. Spitzer, Kia, Mansfield, all that stuff.
All of it.
I'm used
Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram,
yes,
all of it.
There we go.
The
there
fun.
we go. Spitzer of Mansfield. If you want a really good car, you go to them because you know what? They have a shield. And if you have a shield, that means you are legit.
Yeah.
So is the Stat Leaders segment, and so is Hayden and me, Travis Berardi. But for now, I'm just going to stop talking. I'm out of here. We'll see you next week.